Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever and however you may be listening. This is the Closed Screening Podcast, and I'm back, boys.
He's here.
He's back.
After a long hiatus, I'm back. Nicholas is back. I'm here with permanent host.
What Zach?
Zach. And what is your name?
Worked out.
And Chase.
Oh, yes.
Oh, we're off to a raging start.
Yeah, this is a work in progress. Well, this is an experiment. This is a 3-person, the trifecta of figuring out technology and headphones and speaking over each other. So
That's right.
We
we'll get in
got the
next
headphones
10 minutes.
sorted. It's you that has all the tech problems.
Yeah, audience
I think
members.
you get yourself too flustered before you even start, and then you're already you've already dug your grave 3 feet, and then you just keep digging. When we try to help you out, you're just too busy digging.
Yes, audience members, you missed the disaster that was the lead up to all of this, including me trying to figure out how hotspots work. I digress. Today we're talking about summer blockbusters or just summer films. I wouldn't even consider that some of the movies we're going to talk about. Actually, are they all blockbusters?
I would say,
to that question mark.
I'd say maybe all of them, but Minions. I guess
I would say Minions is a blockbuster.
Minions probably is a blockbuster now. It wasn't intended to be.
By the end of this, Minions going to have the biggest box office of any of these movies we're talking about, probably.
Oh, no, this is Minions 2. We're looking for Minions 2, right? Damn.
Zach, do you want to go ahead? What?
Minions is almost at $1 billion.
It is at $1 billion. Is that 1.1?
That's what I'm saying. Minion.
Oh, that's right.
Minions.
I want Minions 2.
Minions: The Rise of Gru box office mojo. Worldwide, it's at $500 million according to Box Office Mojo.
Oh. Hey, it's still chugging along though. Anyway,
it's still a crap ton of money.
It'll be top 15 highest grossing by the time it's finished.
Undoubtedly.
Zach, do you want to take us? Zach, take us through. I guess itinerary for tonight. We're recording this on.
Also, before we get too deep in, I just want to let the viewers know that Nicholas is faking using his microphone.
Yeah, I was wondering how long you're gonna let that ride.
And the audio is being picked up by his computer, not that microphone. But it looks good. It looks nice.
Well, I guess I'm gonna set it down now. Do you want to give us the itinerary of what we're talking about tonight? We're recording on July 19th, 2022. At this point, a couple films have come out.
I would say we'll start this summer season off with Doctor Strange, move into Top Gun, Jurassic World, Lightyear, Elvis, Thor, Minions, and you said Black Phone, which I was not playing at the theater that I go to in Atlanta. And then I think I'm the only one that has seen Where the Crawdads Sing, and so we'll finish up with that one. And then maybe turn our eyes towards the future. For this back end of July into probably the final month you could call summer movie month in August. Once the kids go back to school, I think blockbuster season is over. Which is different everywhere, but
all right. Yeah, it is.
So Doctor Strange.
Let's jump into it. Doctor Strange 2. The 27th, 28th Marvel movie at this point. I can't remember now. I can't keep track. I know they're approaching movie number 30. Directed originally was supposed to be Scott Derrickson, and then ended up being the one and only Mr. Sam Raimi, which was interesting. And I guess my initial thoughts of this film, of which I don't want to ramble. I'm gonna just completely take over this podcast if I just exclusively talk about Doctor Strange. But the moments in this film where Sam Raimi just gets to be Sam Raimi are some of the most enjoyable.
Isn't it Sam Raimi? Isn't it Raimi?
Is that what I'm saying? Yeah, am I saying it wrong?
I'm
Rami? What do I keep saying?
It sounds
I'm
like-
hearing Rami.
It sounds like Rami.
I'm hearing Rami.
I need to put this back up.
Really enunciate the A.
Yeah. The moments where he gets to shine are possibly some of the most enjoyable Marvel movie scenes in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, which maybe sounds like a crazy thing to say. I think this is one of those, like, I think most of these Marvel movies, as we get into Phase 4, are definitely steeped in the director's visions, whether we're talking about a Chloe Chow or any of these other, and now I can't think, Taika Waititi, as we'll get to in Thor: Love and Thunder. They're really bringing their flavor to these movies as opposed to sort of the cookie cutter Marvel style that we've gotten since 2008. I'd argue, yeah. I mean, from the very jump. So it was nice to see this movie stand out. And for some people, for better or worse, for some people, they don't like that it stood out. But for me, especially in the third act, where we start to get into sort of zombie Strange and some of the horror aspects and the creatures that are apparitions that are flying out of Strange, that's the parts of the movie for me where it really excelled.
Yeah. My only thing about Sam Raimi is I feel like he's kind of stuck in like the 70s in the way he directs, and I think a lot of his editing choices are really cheesy. Like the fade in and like while you're zooming into another shot is it's pretty
that's his
cheesy,
charm, baby.
and it was charming in Evil Dead in what, 1978? When did Evil Dead come out?
Let me be the
I'll take your word for it.
color man.
The Evil Dead.
1981.
Yep. Sorry, my bad. So, I don't know. It's just, but I do like the fact that Marvel's now letting directors, for better or for worse, we'll get into that, more have their own imprint on the film, because I feel like one of the biggest complaints that Marvel's had over the last 11 years, 10 years? Are we still 10 years or are we at 11? Oh, we're at like 13, 14.
Yeah, we're at 13.
Years.
Well, it's interesting
whatever.
because I feel like that wasn't, but I feel like that wasn't a conversation until we got to like the Phase 2 movies, where it was like Marvel favored their own brand of storytelling over style.
Yeah.
Like, it was definitely, and then they tried to reverse course on that when we got to Phase 3. But I feel like now we're really seeing this sort of shift where they are completely giving the vision, and maybe it's just because we, as especially the three of us, like big Marvel fans, we don't see the sort of bigger overarching plot or picture yet.
The three of us.
Uh-oh.
Well,
I've seen like
the thing is,
6 maybe of the, what you said, 23, 24 Marvel movies that have come out.
Oops.
My thing is,
I just don't want to be. I don't want to be misclassified. Is all. I don't want people to think that I'm an expert in court and I'm just some guy. You know.
I don't want to be a hater, but I look at the Russo brothers, and I think the thing they do best as directors are almost like the opposite of being an auteur. Like they have little to no directorial presence, which at times I think can suit a superhero movie, because I mean, I think Thor is a great example that we'll get into. We don't go see a Thor movie for a comedy. Maybe you do. But the Russo brothers were good at letting the characters shine, which now I think Marvel has listened to the fanboy critics saying that no director is allowed to do their own thing, which, I mean, for better or for worse, was kind of the case leading up to Phase 4. And now they've kind of given these directors free reign. And I think sometimes it goes to their head a little bit, and they make the movie that they want to make, not what the movie Marvel would particularly want them to make.
Sure. Well, it's interesting because we're saying all this knowing fully well that the reason Scott Derrickson did not direct this film was because of creative differences, which is
Mhm.
like I feel like
Yeah,
that's
it's
a
interesting that they
weird
would
sort of
then go to
hypocrisy.
Sam Raimi, who is probably, I wouldn't call him
Right.
an auteur, but very
Yeah.
stylistic and likes to put his own impressions on the films that he's making.
Right.
So who knows
It's
what
like
that movie was
what
like?
what was Scott doing? I don't know.
Which it could be the case of
For,
his vision was so radically different from what Marvel wanted out of a superhero movie that they had this say, "Rein it in or you're done."
sure. And
So who
well,
knows?
and it's interesting too because I think for those who are really in the know, I think this movie definitely has gone through. I mean, of course, the traditional reshoots, but I think even to a larger degree, reshoots that were meant to really sort of change what the film was supposed to be. But I think this film originally, when it was announced, was supposed to be a wildly different film than what we got. Um, and we don't have to jump more into that than just saying that. But it's in terms of a plot, this film is so interesting because it is out of all the Marvel movies the most heavily it's gosh, I don't know how to say this. Like it's up its own butt. Like it's the
Mhm.
most heavily continuity film I think that we've seen. Like you have to have such a big understanding of like
Of the passport,
WandaVision,
yeah.
the idea of the multiverse.
Loki,
You have to
WandaVision, all the,
right. You
like,
have to and
Infinity
most
War.
yes. And even like yeah, and even concepts from that or like the blip, like all these things that like just
Which,
coalesce into this weird sort of plot.
I mean, I can understand because what? You said 27 movies in? You can't
Something like that.
write a script for I'm not gonna the lowest, I'm gonna say the lowest common denominator. You can't write a script based on the idea that no one has seen these previous 27 if you're gonna build depth in a character. It'd be like starting over every time.
Right.
But this one definitely
You're right.
was like
Um,
they put out the checklist and you're like, okay, I gotta watch this, I gotta watch this, I gotta watch 4 episodes of What If. I
sure. Exactly. Yeah.
which
Exactly.
everyone thought were
Um,
just fun little animated storytelling that didn't really matter in the grand scheme.
yeah.
But
Which
that
is, I
aside,
mean, at this point, I think we've kind of, right. Yeah. Accepting all that, there are some issues I still have with the film. Chief among them being, I still don't know, and I don't care for the Doctor Strange character in this movie. I don't know. At this point, I've seen like 3 different characterizations of Strange. I've seen him a version of Doctor Strange in his first film. I've seen a version of Doctor Strange in the Avengers films, and I've seen a version of Doctor Strange in No Way Home. And this character,
he's all over the place.
I saw there was no. First of all, there was no character arc in this film. Like we start the film where he's sad, he's mopey, he can't have his girl, and then by the end of the film, he's kind of accepted that dot 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 question mark. Like and is he a jerk? Is he the hero? Is
Yeah.
he like what are we doing with the character? I had an issue with that. Um,
I don't know.
my other
I
issue was
go ahead.
step in, go in.
I was gonna say I feel like
No,
they
go, you
saw
go.
a jerk to like hero story arc work with Tony Stark, and now that he's not in the playing cards anymore, they're sort of like, we can do this
Right.
again.
And it's an
But
excellent point because
do we
it
need
seems
that
like they've
again?
really propelled Strange to be that Iron Man figure. Yeah, because
Mhm.
it's like now he's sort of the connective tissue that'll pop up in all these different Marvel projects, and they're
Oh, I
trying to
guess
make him
we
that
forgot that you were
character.
supposed to see No Way Home too.
Yeah, again, I mean, it's a list that's as long as anything you could possibly expect.
Yeah, but
Um,
I think we should move on because we should need to get Chase involved in this one.
well,
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say anything, but
well,
we're about.
I do have one more thing.
All
One
right,
more thing. All right.
tie us a bow on this.
I have another quarrel, both.
Squirrel.
All right, the character of America Chavez is not an actual character. It's she is a thing that Wanda wants. She's like, not only that Wanda wants, she's an item that everyone wants. She's not an actual
That's called a
character in this
MacGuffin.
movie.
It's called a MacGuffin.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And so for me, this film is comprised of the MacGuffin character, the Doctor Strange character, who I don't know who he is, and by the end of this film, I'm not sure Marvel knows what he is, and then the villain, which ended up being Wanda. For many people, that was a complete just the destruction of her character.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I just don't understand. Like,
huh?
go
Why
on.
would you stop?
No, what were you saying?
Oh, I was gonna say it just. I don't know. I think now that we have Doctor Strange, Thor, like we're almost completely done with Phase 4 of the MCU. I truly think that COVID has shown that these films were not fully in communication the way they would have been if there was no pandemic. Because you had Sam Raimi, didn't he come out and say that he had not seen WandaVision?
I don't think he had ever seen it. I think he maybe saw an episode or two.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard to write basically this sequel to WandaVision without having seen. You can be told about what they're going to do, but I think you need to watch what's playing out to actually get a feel.
No.
And especially with Thor, I was looking at Thor, it feels kind of odd that this movie is the first movie since the multiverse was announced that didn't even address it at all, which for better or for worse just seems odd to me when we had like 5 multiverse projects in a row.
Yeah.
And then
it's disappointing too because
go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean they well, that's the other thing too. You promised me this multiverse of madness, and I get one world essentially that's apart from my main universe. I don't know. All
right. Let's tie a little bow
I
on
will
that
say,
one.
We'll tie the bow by saying this: ratings for Doctor Strange out of 10, 5 stars, whatever you'd like to say.
Hold on, I can't.
I think he's asking your rating, not like the ratings.
I know. I have a whole.
I forget.
So Chase, did you see this movie?
No. That's why I've been sitting here real quiet, just been actively listening.
6.7.
6.7.
Okay.
So it failed.
I think a 7.3 is about what I give it. It does give me the Illuminati scene. It gives me very good vibes every time.
Gives you life.
The film is it gives me life. John Krasinski as Reed Richards is everything I've ever wanted in life. I peaked in that moment. And I had a thought. It's disappeared, so I think we should move on.
All right. Next, we'll move on to what people are calling the movie of the year, Top Gun Maverick. Chase, let's get you involved.
Oh boy, where to start? I think we talked about on a previous episode that I have a special place for the original Top Gun. First watched it with my dad, and then a little funny story, which is what I'm probably best known for on the pod. I went to see this movie with Emma. We went, got food, and then we were like, let's go watch Top Gun. Everyone's in the family's been telling me about it. We were like 2 or 3 weeks after release, still hadn't seen it. So we go to our local theater, and I pull in, and I see a car that looks a lot like my mom's car. And I'm like, that's strange. Why would they be at the movies? And I look at the front license plate. She's got a very specific, very unique vanity plate in the front. I'm like, oh, that's my mother. So I take a picture of the car, text her, and I'm like, what are you guys seeing? She says, Top Gun. I'm like, that's weird. You already saw it. So we go in, we sit next to them, and I see this movie with my dad as well. My mom was brought to tears. Emma was almost brought to tears. I think I had the scene in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. I had the one manly tear come down. Um, I thought it was really good. I think it might have been a little overhyped, to be completely honest. Without getting, I guess if we want to go ahead and get into full spoilers, the scene at the end where the fact that nobody died kind of made me a little upset, to be honest. That's about it.
Mhm.
That's my. I feel like that's a good send off for Maverick is him saving Goose. And then I mean, it was cool seeing whatever the douchebag guy's name was save him in the end. Although his character arc kind of seemed a little sussy. If I'm being honest, he went from being a dickhead to saving everybody. That's whatever. Those are my thoughts off top. I'm not good being the lead man.
I like it. No, that's great.
Um,
I think to your point, Chase. I think the Hangman character you're referring to,
Mhm.
the douche character, was a much better foil in this movie than what Val Kilmer's Iceman was in the
I would agree.
1986 version. Um,
yeah, this movie is
a much
basically
better
the
foil, like a
exact
lot more
same.
charisma and a lot less evil. Oh, it's the exact same.
It's what The Force Awakens is to A New Hope. So if you like the first one, you'll like this one. I am not a big fan of the first one. I think it's pretty freaking boring. And I'm just not a big Tom Cruise guy either.
Are you
Hate to
telling
say it.
me? Are you telling me you weren't bricked up in the volleyball scene in the original?
That's a different story, bro.
That's all I cared about. I'm actually really mad. I was genuinely upset. Everyone was hyping up the dogfight football scene, and I got to see Miles Teller's glistening abs for maybe 3 seconds, and that's just not enough screen time for that for me. And Tom Cruise,
Yeah, it was not nearly enough.
bless him, he's definitely got an old man fit bod. Best way I can describe it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
As
the
much
old
as
man fit.
Oh, but he
yes,
still looks great.
But I enjoyed the new characters more than some of the old characters. It's better than the original to me, but I just have a hard time liking like the pro war like military complex sort of film because I don't know, it just rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah. Well, I can see how
and
you would say that for the first film. I think what I liked about this film, and this could be me just completely making this up, it almost was like Tom Cruise's commentary on him, where it's like the plot of the film is, oh well, we don't need this old dude stuck in his ways and his traditions, and he's an old relic of the past. And Tom Cruise is saying, heck no, I'm not. I'm still here. I'm a movie star. I'm gonna do my thing. This is gonna be successful. There is a place for me today. Um,
I
which
would agree with you, except for the
again,
fact that he
that's just
has
me.
a Mission Impossible movie coming out every 2 years.
Zach, to go
So
That's
back
fair. Now
I don't think he ever left.
to your kind of anti pro war sentiment. Have you ever considered to think that jets are cool and watching people
Just
go
are
shoo
pretty cool.
and pow pow? That's just
But I'm pretty sure I read that the U.S. military had some hand in editing the film and control over what got shown.
Well, you got to spend those
And
billions of dollars in defense somewhere, Zach.
but
that's right.
cool action and some pretty cool
I'm with
practical
Chase.
effects.
Jets are cool.
Jets are cool.
Jets go. Boom.
That's right.
Jets are cool.
I mean, this film
Ratings?
it's kicking ass. I'll tell you that.
It's
And also,
still going strong.
I don't like how this movie has been commandeered by the right as like their film. It rubs me the wrong way. It makes me not want to watch the film
Do you
because
not?
they're like, what?
They have their own film. It's What Is a Woman. You
What's
not heard
that?
about that? Oh my
Is that the
god.
one with the girl? Was that the one from
No,
The
it's
Mandalorian? The one that Ben Shapiro's is like
she's not the one that.
funding?
Hold on. It's a film that came out this year. It's Matt Walsh. He's this conservative. It is basically anti-trans film.
Oh,
That's the
okay.
rights. That's the rights film. It's basically just a dude interviewing people, being like, trans people aren't real. We don't have to get into it. It's terrible. I'm sure I didn't see it. Who would want to watch that shit? But that's all I was saying is that's the rights film. That's their film.
Yeah, and
This,
it's It's just like the media literacy that these people have is so non-existent.
Oh, all of
Because
my
they're praising this
relatives.
film, but like, it's not like this film was funded solely like without Hollywood. Like it's Paramount. Like Paramount is literally in direct opposition, quote unquote, as to what they value. That's literally classic Hollywood that they hate. But it just happens to be a film that they deem like good, and now all their cares are washed away. I don't know.
Oh,
But
all
it's
of
made
my
$1.2 billion, so
all of my family is extremely media illiterate. They all love like The Boys, and they don't understand the commentary that entire show is about, which is just wonderful.
they might now after that last episode. So if they didn't, I've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter about
The right.
conservatives and right-leaning people finally realizing that the conservatives are the butt end of every joke in that show. But let's see. I rated this film. What did y'all rate it? I'll do mine last.
I guess I'll go first. I'm just kind of. It's been what, like a month since I've seen this film, month and a half. I'd have to go 7.8 probably. I enjoyed it a lot. It
Interesting.
was fun. I took it for what it was. It was kind of just. I think there's some sentiment in that I just happened to see it with my dad, like I did the first movie.
Yeah. Also, I didn't see Top Gun until Abigail forced me to watch it. So
Yeah, it came out 2 days before my birthday,
Yeah, that's
and I watched it
I
like.
had an interesting perspective.
Go for it. Sorry, I'm just rambling.
No. I was just gonna say I had the interesting perspective of watching this film because I had never seen the original until like 2 hours before I went to the movies to go watch the new one. So it was really fun. I think it's a fun way to watch this film, knowing the parallels are so oblivious to the audience member. But I still found a lot to enjoy about it. I think my rating is going to be really high. I give it an 8.7.
Wow.
After all this time away.
I
Yeah.
gave it a
Also,
7.9.
I should also say real quick, that's pretty good. That's pretty high.
I mean, I like it.
I do I appreciate, and I think most people do, Tom Cruise and just the ability for them to do these stunts. I love how in the film you can see like they leave it in the film like his head like hitting like the cockpit window just because like the force of actually doing those stunts is just so extreme. I don't know. I loved it. I liked it a lot.
Well, that's good.
You know, I didn't think going into this discussion that I'd have the film rated the lowest out of all three of us. I'll be honest.
All
My
right,
bar's
moving on
low. My bar's really low.
to Jurassic World Dominion.
I think this is. I will definitely have this rated the lowest.
Okay, I've become aware that Chase, you didn't see the second film in
Yep.
this new trilogy
Yep.
going into the third one.
Yep.
So
What in the world did you understand this?
I didn't. That's probably why I hated it.
no, I don't think that's why you hated it.
No, I
It's an
hated it 'cause
objectively bad
it's
movie.
a terrible movie. It's really bad.
Chase literally every person I said they were going to see this film, I said be sure if you have not watched the second one that you read up on the plot synopsis because that second film was crucial to understanding this movie.
For some context, I gave the second one a 4.9.
Oh,
I guess to get.
I mean, it is bad.
It's one of probably the worst movies I've seen in the last couple years. One of the most anticlimactic like finales of all time, I would say. I didn't even when I was watching, I didn't even realize that we were watching like the final battle until it was already over, and I checked that there was only like 10 minutes left in the movie.
I saw this movie on Father's Day with my dad because he wanted to see it. So I didn't watch the second film, and I was there with my sister, and we are pretty notorious for kind of shitting on stuff together. And that whole movie, her and I were just going back and forth, roasting the shit out of it, and then it ended, and we just kind of looked at each other, and we were like, "That's it." And that, yeah, I don't know what to say about this movie because it's such a nothing film. It just felt. I think I just watched stuff happen, but nothing happened. If that makes any sense.
And I guess my biggest gripe with the film is that the second film sets such a large and like radical precedent to this universe. And the third, like that's Dominion can't like really not can't, it doesn't do anything to really like further the fact that dinosaurs have been breeding somehow by themselves and they now live amongst us. And it kind of goes into it, but we don't really see many dinosaurs interacting
Wait,
with humans until the very end of the film.
is that a big part in the second one? Is that
Yes.
dinosaurs?
The second one ends with, I guess, Owen and the little girl. I don't remember her name, who's a clone. I don't know. They
I
talk
remember
about.
that.
I think they talk
They
about
talk
that.
about
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I know that.
Oh, she's a clone. Shut up. They released all the dinosaurs that were taken off the island into the wild. That's how the movie ends. It's
It
because they're
seems
about
like
to get like they're about to like suffocate on this toxic gas, so they let them all out. Like every single, even like the T-Rexes and everything. That's the new precedent that the film has set.
But like, do they talk about the dinosaurs? I guess reproduce like asexually reproducing basically in the second one, or is that a point from the third one?
That's the point from the third one.
Okay, I want to
but
make sure because
there weren't. I'm just assuming that they're reproducing because there's a lot of them in this new movie
yeah, it's
that
only,
weren't. There was only like a handful of them that got released, but now they're all over the place. Nicholas, what'd you think of it?
No, I think that was a big oversight not to show the human environmental interactions that releasing hundreds, thousands of dinosaurs out in the world actually looks like. I thought that was a very interesting choice to just kind of ignore.
Was the shot of the pterodactyl on top of the World Trade Center, I guess Freedom Tower, was that at the end or the beginning?
Beginning?
That could have been at the beginning. Yeah.
Which is like,
well, because that's the thing. It's like they show the beginning, like there's like a little, like a news clip that they do, and then at the end they show, but there's no in between.
I don't know. I feel like
which is what I thought this whole film was supposed to be.
If I was living in a world, Dominion, Jurassic World Dominion implies that we have entered a new era of human existence. We are no longer the masters of our own dominion. We have been out-conquered by dinosaurs. And I feel like people in this world should be livid that there are dinosaurs in New York City. If I would lived in Manhattan and I looked up and saw a damn pterodactyl flying around, I would be scared out of my mind. Any moment, my child might get swooped out by a pterodactyl and brought up to her nest. And that's just not even discussed.
Look, all you have to do is think about it in this capacity, right? In the first movie, second movie, there's a Jurassic World Park place. So I'm sure there's debate in this universe that the dinosaurs could get out, right? And then they got out, and everybody was like, I told you so. So people were already prepped for this. All you gotta do is think about it that way, and then that's not a plot hole. You know what I mean?
No.
Well, I don't know what to tell you.
What I did like about the movie, I did like having the original cast back. It was kind of cool to see the payoff of Alan Grant and what's the girl's name?
Ellie
Laura
Sattler.
Dern's. Yeah, like the payoff of their, like, when did the first Jurassic Park come out? 94, 95,
93?
96? Let's see. I'm gonna say 95. Chase, you got a guess?
I already looked it up.
It was 93.
So, yeah.
So it was pretty cool to see a 30-year payoff, almost a 29-year payoff to this relationship.
Yeah, I think that's. Yeah, no, I think that's what I enjoyed the most was because originally I thought this, like when they announced Laura Dern and Sam Neill were coming back as those characters, I thought they'd have a very small role in that film. I thought it was still going to be the Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt show, but I was very pleasantly surprised that those characters, including Jeff Goldblum's character, had significant roles in that film. And then when the
Yeah.
cast all comes together at the end, I thought, oh, that's going to be too much. But I felt like the dynamics really worked, and it wasn't overbearing. I thought their dynamics off each other played extremely well. I was actually very impressed by the amount of characters they could juggle by the end of that film.
Yeah, I thought the coolest part of the film was with the feathered dinosaur on the ice, where it like swims under them and
Oh, that
keeps
was a
popping
tense
out.
scene.
Yeah, I
Yeah, that
won't
was
lie.
tense.
That actually had me a little clenched. I'm not gonna.
But
That was
it
pretty
would-
much it
I
though.
think,
The
I think it would have been better if we didn't see that in the trailer. Basically, the entirety of that scene was in the trailer.
I didn't even watch the trailers for this film.
But overall, I thought it was just like a lackluster finale to a pretty lackluster trilogy. Because I'm a huge Jurassic Park fan. Steven Spielberg, my boy. But I don't know. I guess it just shows that you need a director that knows how to make a film and writers that know how to write.
Trevorrow.
That's a pretty low. It's a pretty low bar, I would say.
And I guess when you don't have the source material of a book to go off of. But
yeah.
I mean, making a dinosaur movie shouldn't be that hard. So we need more of just movies about dinosaurs.
Is this your call? Is this your call to
by
action?
the end of every film, you're gonna make it.
This your call to action about dinosaur?
Yes, I need the big five to start making more dinosaur movies.
Hey, I'm all about it.
Yes, but I gave this one a 5.3, a bit better than the last one.
I'll save mine for last.
I'm gonna go 6.5. Also, you just know you're always, no matter what you think about these films, you know you're gonna get an awesome T-Rex scene at the end. That's what I was looking forward to personally. If I was gonna sit through this film, just give me the awesome T-Rex like roar at the end because he did something awesome.
Yeah, I like when the other one used his little fingers to like stab him in the neck.
Oh, so cool.
But does it? I mean, it's so weird when these dinosaurs start teaming up, and then it's like they would be fighting each other, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Like they wouldn't just team up and then be like,
yeah,
on our way.
yeah, that factored into my rating a little bit. I
mean, it happens all the time. Like,
look, that I thought
like the T-Rex and the Raptors teamed up in the first one.
Also, I didn't touch on this, but I want to touch on it real quick before I give my final rating. I thought Laura Dern's performance in this was subpar. To be honest,
I didn't really think so.
Whoa, Chase.
That was my one of my gripes was she just felt kind of like she was overacting a little bit.
I mean, to me, she was just being Laura Dern.
I haven't seen the original films in a long time, but it felt like she was overacting. I came out of this film giving it a 3.4. Yeah, I really didn't like any part of this.
Okay,
really.
I have a call to you. Go watch the second one, and then
maybe
give that one a 1.
Maybe if I saw the second one, there'd be a little more forgiveness. But yeah, I really didn't like this movie at all.
Yeah, speaking on movies that I didn't particularly like that much, let's move on to Lightyear.
Didn't see it.
Chase, did you see Lightyear?
Nope.
I mean, Nicholas, did you see Lightyear?
Sure did. You want to start us off? Why did you like it?
Just okay. I'm gonna go on record and say I didn't dislike it because of what the far right disliked it for. We'll get the elephant out of the room.
Can we explain?
If you're listening to this podcast and you didn't see the movie, or B, hated the movie because of this, go ahead and click off. We don't need your patronage.
Wait, no, keep listening. Fuck you. No, keep listening. Fuck you. Run up our numbers. Sure, listen to it with all your friends. Run up our numbers. I don't care about that.
The controversy of this film was the existence of a lesbian relationship between Buzz's captain, I guess is her title.
Partner.
And as Buzz test rides his little rocket ship, there's time dilation, so he stays the same age, but we see the progression of this woman and her relationship with another woman as they raise a kid together, and then the kid goes off to college, right? There were 2 kids. And then
I think so.
because then there was the grand, yes, she turns out to be the granddaughter. And there is maybe half 30, not 30, a half a second frame. I'm not even gonna call it a shot. It's a frame of them kissing at their child's graduation party.
Fucking
And
Disney.
that's it.
I think it's. I don't even think it's like a sideways kiss. I think it's like she's kind of like her head's like blocking it from happening almost too.
It's kind of like you see it, but it's literally it's not even a. It's
So
just
Disney did the absolute bare minimum to be inclusive.
yes.
And the right were mad that gay
They
people
sure
exist. They're mad that they had to be reminded that gay people exist.
Disney's gone woke. That's why the movie failed. Is no one wants to see that. I've seen a lot of hot takes on Twitter and Facebook of people saying like
fucking Disney
throwing out the most random statistics I've ever seen about how much money this movie's made, and they're not even accurate at all. And it's taken everything. I don't even know these people, but they're just people that pop up on my Facebook, and it takes everything in my power not to comment and be like, if you're gonna talk shit about this movie, get the numbers right.
When I went to Top Gun, this was the premiere of this film, and there was a humongous line for this film. I don't think this was. I don't look at the numbers, but I'm sure this was not a. It couldn't have been a. Commercial failure. $212
million, which isn't like that much compared to some of the other numbers we've seen, but I think that has much more to do with the movie than the fact that people don't want to see a lesbian kiss. But lesbians are allowed to exist in cinema.
Nope.
Just because you don't agree with it doesn't mean that they're not allowed to exist.
Nope.
Anyway, to the movie itself, I don't know. I just thought it was a little weird of a movie to be making. Are we out of ideas, Pixar? Like that we need to make the movie based on a character from a movie? And I don't know. It's just.
Oh wait, was Zurg in this movie?
Yes.
Oh shit, I gotta watch it.
No, you don't. I'm just kidding.
I loved Zurg as a kid.
But I mean, at the end of the day, it's meant for children. And if this is what gets a child into science fiction films, then go for it. I chuckled a couple times in the movie. Nothing to write home about. Actually, I think I'm being a little too hard on it. I don't think I hated it that much. Because I think the quality of the animation and the voice acting probably, I mean, not even probably, it is doing a lot of the heavy lifting that the plot, because the plot is pretty bare bones. Also, did you say till the post-credit scene? The end of the post-credit scene?
I stayed for all like 6 of them. They're literally, there was like a post-credit scene, like post like the very last thing you could do, even after they'd done the company and the castle, like whatever it was that they did. Like there's like 3.
That was the one with the robot still explaining, right?
There was a one after that.
Which one was that?
The one where Zurg is his eyes light up again.
Oh, I missed that one. I must have left.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That is considered, that should be the first ever like after credit scene. Like literally, it was the last thing you could possibly have done.
It was
like shown on a screen.
Post credit scene.
Are they setting up for
a new era of cinema? The post credit scene.
They setting up for a sequel?
I mean, it put
the sequel's never gonna come out.
I don't know what they're doing. I think Zach, I think you and me have the exact same thoughts on this film. Like it's weird in the same way. Like you almost can't like put your finger on why it is you didn't particularly like love it. I think like it's like you said, the animation is gorgeous, but I know that the animation's going to be gorgeous. It's Pixar. Like I know it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Like was it impressive? Yes, but is it something I've seen before? Yes. Voice acting, great. Did I expect that was going to be great? Yes. The plot, basic, and also like, and it's not his fault. You knew exactly where the plot was heading, and it seemed like for me, it was a little, it was I just kind of got bored because I knew where the plot
Yeah.
needed to go, and it took its time getting there, and like we would do like these like side quests to try to get to the end game, and I was just like,
Mhm.
I'm tired. It's time to go home.
Yeah.
And Chase, are you gonna see this?
Probably not.
Okay. Can I say the
Go for it.
Zurg reveal?
Go for it.
So, spoilers. No, obviously we've been spoiling things already, but spoiler alert for those light here. Zurg ended up being his identity. Instead of leaning into what they should have done and just made Zurg Buzz's father,
That's where I
like
thought
I
this was
thought they were
going.
going to do it, and like it's implied in Toy Story 2, instead they zag and say, no, it's future alternative Buzz who like was split from the main timeline. What?
Yeah.
What are
It's
we
weird.
doing? You're no, Pixar. Lean into it. You don't have to zag instead of zigging. Zig, go into that. Make it his father. What are we
I don't know.
doing?
And like,
Come on.
keeping in mind that this is a children's movie, it just seemed a little weird because like I feel like kids might not grasp the concept of an alternate timeline version because they've only and
Yeah, overly
they've only
complicated.
yeah, Buzz is a good guy, and then you're telling me now that there's a possibility that he couldn't be a good guy. I don't know, but let's move on.
Weird.
Move on. Don't I wouldn't
Ratings?
waste your time. I gave it a 6.1.
6.7. That's where I'm at.
All right. Now we have to move to Elvis, which I haven't seen. The only thing I'm going to say about it is the director, Baz Luhrmann. You guys can maybe try to answer this question
Okay.
that I will pose because I'm interested. You've probably all seen his Romeo and Juliet adaptation with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh yeah, we watched it in high school.
Watched it in high school. We also watched his
Yeah.
Great Gatsby
That's when I saw it years ago.
with Leonardo DiCaprio. And then he's got Moulin Rouge, or those are his 3 other big movies. My biggest complaint with Baz Luhrmann is I feel like he is the definition of style over substance as a director. His ultra stylized films, like I don't know, you can't really fuck up Romeo and Juliet because like it's Shakespeare, and like he takes on Romeo and Juliet, and then he takes on like The Great Gatsby. They're 2 like strong stories that I don't know. I think he just focuses more on the stylization of the films, almost to the detriment of the film itself. So, the floor is yours.
Chase, you want to?
Yeah,
You want to start with
I'm happy to take that.
that?
To answer,
hold on. I got the impression that this could be another like on par for the course with the trailers of the film. It looked very style heavy, style forward, more so than the actual film itself.
yeah, it's definitely got a very, very distinct voice, a very distinct style. He leans into it really heavy in the first act, and then it felt like, because I mean, I won't get too much, but the first act felt like it was all style, no substance, kind of all gas, no brakes, and then we get into the second act and more of like the meat of Elvis's career, and the story kind of took back over, and it was a lot more enjoyable. But like I guess just the first act after Elvis is discovered by Colonel Tom Parker, there is like essentially a road trip montage scene with some actual scenes spliced in of him like coming up and becoming Elvis, and you don't really get to see that. It's basically just I don't know how to describe it. It's like a scene in like TV shows and films where like there's the map and the car and they're tracking the car across to his music to hip hop version of his music. And like spliced into that, every now and then when they stop somewhere, you get to see this one little thing, like he cheats on his girlfriend or whatever. And then once you get into the bulk, I found it to be much more enjoyable and much more of like a more grounded story, I guess. Nicholas?
I couldn't say it any better myself. Yeah, no, that's perfect. I mean, literally, you would take the words right out of my mouth. Somehow this movie moved way too fast, but also so slow at the same. It was the longest film I've seen, but it felt like it's like I ran a marathon watching this movie. And like that first act, like you said, Chase, I was baffled. Like I was like looking back on it, like I'm pretty sure I left that movie and I was like, wait, what was the first like 20 years of Elvis's life like? Like I don't understand. Like it wasn't until we got to that second act I was like, okay, here's the Elvis movie I wanted. And then and this is just me. For me, I felt like not enough time was placed at the very end of Elvis's life, which I could completely see why you wouldn't want to showcase that. But I was going to be much more interested in that personally. Like I wanted to see like those not necessarily like last days, but like we saw the downfall of Elvis and the Colonel, but I wanted more because it's like we all knew that's where it was headed, but like how I don't know how I want to see that showcased on the screen. I don't know. Like this is a weird movie. Like it's just a weird movie. Like Tom Hanks is fine. Like I obviously didn't know who like Colonel Tom Parker is supposed to be. I'm sure that was an accurate representation. I don't know. Like it seemed a little over the top for me, but maybe that's who he was. Austin Butler was great as Elvis. Obviously, I think this is his first like breakout role. I remember him from like Zoe 101, but I don't think I've ever seen him in any at any theater or acting role. But he was good. I've heard that he's kept the Elvis impression post filming, which is an interesting choice. But hey, dude was pretty good. I think the audiences seem to love him. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, it definitely makes you go. If you still got that accent, I gotta check this movie out to see if it's warranted.
I don't know. I'll say this. Like I thought Rocket Man was like 3 times better than this film. Like Rocket Man was like the perfect way to do like one of these like documentary films that's gonna be, overly, dramatized or whatever. This one was, I don't know. It was simultaneously like the most over the top thing and also just fine, like bland, boring at times. I don't know.
I mean, that's how I felt about The Great Gatsby. Like he almost made that story boring. And I know because we watched, and at least in my class, we watched the Robert Redford one and the new one, and I was like, Robert Redford's got it down. This new one is, I don't know. And I watched it recently, and it's so dated now because of all the CGI used. When like, especially when Gatsby's in like the car and they're driving around the bridges and stuff, it's like, ugh, did you need all that? How much would it have cost to put Leonardo DiCaprio in a car and drive on a bridge?
Too much.
Oh no, but I digress. We don't have anything else.
Yeah, like Nicholas said, I think Austin Butler, I think he did okay. I think it was a fine performance. If y'all don't know, Emma is a humongous Elvis fan. And I saw this at the beach with my grandmother, who is also a massive Elvis fan. She said that's the only man she'd leave my grandpa for. She loved it, but
so what they think?
Grandma loved it. Emma liked everything but the first act, which seemed pretty apt. That first act was a mess. She thought Austin Butler did great, which surprised me because she was did not have high hopes for him going into this film. She knew him from Zoe 101, and she thought he was going to be terrible, and she had to turn apart. I thought he was going to be great. I thought he was okay. I don't think he has the same level of charisma that Elvis. Like Emma showed me a lot of videos of Elvis, I mean, since we've been together, you know, a lot of like performances and stuff, and he is captivating for lack of a better word. He's so good on stage, and it just felt like Austin Butler looked almost uncomfortable at times trying to be Elvis. He like there's some scenes where he's dancing and he's shaking and he is like he's so stiff. He looks so stiff. And that's the last thing I wanted to say. I just think that he did okay. I think there probably was somebody better. I mean, look, you could go to a strip in Las Vegas and find probably 20 more convincing Elvises, but you know, you got to do what you got to do.
This film does get an extra bonus point from me just because I didn't realize how much of an impact Captain Marvel, Shazam, Captain Marvel Jr. had on Elvis. They constantly referred to him as his like hero, and he wanted to go to the Rock of Eternity.
I have bad news for you.
So as the DC boy, I love that.
I have bad news for you. I have such bad news for you.
What?
You're gonna hate this. That's not exactly true. That information, I read on an article, that information was taken from one interview Elvis had where he said he liked to read comics as a kid and that was his favorite, but there's nothing to say that there was nowhere that said that he was actually like wanted to be Captain Marvel or Shazam or anything like that. Like, there was no I don't know where to be. There's no story that, you know, he had the big lightning bolt necklace and everything like that.
Right.
Dang.
Well,
Dreams crush.
I'm sorry, Nicholas. I hate to be that guy.
I don't know what to think now. I will say this. I'm simultaneously I'm upset that it was probably, you know, that's probably true. But I guess I'm happy that the filmmakers decided they were gonna hype up my boys like that. So I don't know. But that's disappointing. Thank you, Chase. You've crushed me.
I'm sorry.
Ratings 6.5. That's right. That's what I give it.
I'm right there with you. I'm at about a 6.8, I think. I'll go 6.9 for the memes.
For the memes?
If you like Elvis, go see it.
Yeah, I think if you like Elvis,
I think
this
film.
movie.
I think it's like you said, Chase, like your grandmother like loved it and loved it. Like I think like my mom, she really enjoyed it. Like my grandparents, they loved it. Like if you were a fan of Elvis, I can't see how you wouldn't like this film. I have no attachment to him at all. So I was kind of hoping this film was going to do for me what like Rocket Man did for Elton John, but it didn't. So anyway,
I am wondering if like the conservatives weren't mad about this film, like the white nationalists being like Elvis didn't take his inspiration from African Americans. I mean, like Elvis.
Oh yeah.
I think that was an actual.
Pretty sure that's like common knowledge though. Like
I think it is
almost
but,
unrefutable.
Let me rephrase. He also. I didn't know he had like a political statement song with whatever that song was at the end of his comeback special. You remember that, Nicholas? I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
I do. That and I'll say this, that stuff was the most interesting part of the film for me. Like that when they touched on that, or like the historical things that were happening, like the Martin Luther King death and all that, like that stuff, I ate it up.
I'm just wondering like if my family's gonna be like Elvis wasn't that progressive, they're too woke, he didn't care about social injustice. I don't know. We can move on to the next film.
All right. Thor, Love and Thunder. The Marvel's movie of the summer.
Ace, did you see this?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we saw it together.
I saw it with Zach.
Up to my place.
Oh, got it.
All right. I need to say something about this film first.
I think we're going to say a lot of things about this film.
This movie is what, 28 in Marvel? We're one more from Doctor Strange. We didn't mention Doctor Strange, but there were a couple moments of Doctor Strange where I was like, ugh, this is some horrific CGI. This Thor, Love and Thunder, made, produced, filmed, shot over the course of 2020 and 2021, is some of the worst CGI I have ever seen Marvel release to screen, to the point where it breaks your immersion in the film at points. When it becomes so obvious that that is just Chris Hemsworth standing in front of a green screen. When they're in New Asgard fighting and he sees Jane for the first time, look like you could tell me that movie came out in 1991 and I would have believed you. Horrific. Almost inexcusable to where we should be with the state of technology. But yeah, that's how I want to start the discussion off.
You've heard the stories. Marvel's VFX artists and special effects people they're under specific restraints. They're having to crank these things out pretty quick. So
and I think we're at a very interesting point with the MCU. They're at a very interesting intersection, you could say, because the reviews are no longer glowing as they used to be. And the stories at the same time, they're trying to tell some bigger stories coming up. So I think there needs to be some introspection done, because I don't think any fan of the comic books really wants to see Secret Wars with the VFX levels that this last Thor movie had. So I think we need to readjust. I guess they need to readjust their release schedule. Maybe say, hey, let's release 2-3 movies a year instead of 4. I don't know, because it's rocky. I think if the Marvel, I know they have 10 years planned, but if things start going downhill, I think we could point to this film as the start of the end. But let's get into the movie itself. Chase, what'd you think? You're not much of a Marvel fan, as you said. What did you think of this movie as a pseudo Marvel fan? Hey, do you want to come to the movies? Sure, I'll go to the movies kind of guy.
That seems pretty much the best description you could put over me about Marvel movies. Where to start? I think as a love story, kind of weak. That might be, I don't know if that's a hot take or not. Overall, I thought it was really enjoyable. I really, really like Taika Waititi. I think he's got a very, very interesting voice. I think the comedy moments hit perfectly, more or less. I
think that's a hot take, Chase.
What?
You're one of the few people I've seen that said that they enjoyed the comedy in this movie.
Look, maybe I'm just a casual. I don't know.
You can have whatever opinion you want.
Look.
I preach it, brother. Preach what you believe. Preach your truth, as they say.
I mean, it's definitely, it's not highbrow humor by any means, but it's fun. I think superhero movies, in my opinion, sometimes take themselves too seriously, and it's always refreshing.
Zack Snyder.
I think it's definitely refreshing to see some that don't take themselves too seriously. You have, pretty much Korg is there just for comedic relief. It feels like, which isn't.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you there. I'm gonna stop you there.
Go for it.
You see, repeat what did you say about superhero movies? What do they do? What is it nice to see?
Them not take themselves too seriously.
Which I will agree with, until you get into the third act of this film.
That's fair.
Where it completely goes
180. There's a complete tone shift. Yeah. Like,
for 2/3 of this movie, it is the la 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 la. Let's have fun. Let's make hammer jokes. Let's make a decade-old goat screaming meme.
Yeah, that was not funny. That was the one joke I didn't like.
And then, boom, which I don't know. I think Ragnarok is one of the best Marvel movies, and I think Taika may have gotten to his own way a little bit, because I think he has never had to lean into comedy, like that much comedy, in any of his other films. Like Jojo Rabbit was it was a comedy, but it wasn't as almost absurdist as this film. Like I don't know. It just seemed like the plot was so like weak and vague that he felt like he had to insert his own like jokes and own humor into the film to make it stand out, which I feel makes it stand out in a bad way.
I can agree
You
with
know what I
that.
mean?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, the screaming goats were probably the worst
Yeah.
part of this entire movie. But I mean, even in the third act, I think there was a level of humor up to the point until the kids zap back to New Asgard. But I mean, like watching the kids fight all these eldritch horrors, it's kind of funny.
Also, did you know that the kids were the ones that created the monsters? They drew the monsters and they had them
Oh,
like
really?
the special effects team make the monsters from what the kids drew.
That's really cool.
That's pretty cool.
Uh,
Yeah, that's fun.
Um, I have a hot take more for Chase.
Go for it.
I mean, not Chase, Nicholas. Sorry.
Don't go for it.
Sorry, Chase.
As both of us have read the comic arc that this is based off of, I guess more the Gore one. I haven't read the Mighty Thor.
Yeah.
This version of Gore is nowhere near a top tier villain in the MCU. And people were praising him. The only good part of this movie was Gore. Christian Bale's portrayal
Yeah.
of this Gore was good, but the villain himself was very phase one-ish. Like
It's
vague
yes, especially when
motivations.
Taika Waititi, when you go on press and say that this is the best MCU villain, I'm expecting, a pretty good antagonist. And what we got
Was fine.
go on.
I said,
It was good. Yeah.
Sorry, we keep cutting each other off.
No, it's just I mean, Christian Bale was great. I mean, he was a great version of this character, but why is this character threatening? Like
He's
what are
not.
we like?
He's.
We didn't see him kill any god. Like we saw him
said,
kill one god,
yeah.
and that was at the beginning.
The butcher, the god butcher. The god butcher. Everyone seems to know him as the god butcher. Can't even kill this. Is Sheev even technically a god?
The thing is, like this, like the more I think about it, this film was like the plot was like a hat on a hat. Like we start like Gore is given this mission by the Necrosword to kill his god that failed him. Okay, great. That's a great starting point. Awesome. Motivation's there. Then we like see like screen grabs of all the gods he's killed, but we didn't actually see him do it.
Yeah.
And then instead of
like
just having to kill, yeah, like that's nothing. That's not intimidating. That's like show don't tell. Like
yeah,
I
was
don't
about
know.
to say that's the number one rule of screenwriting is show something. Don't just tell me that it happened.
Right. And then it gets to be a hat on a hat.
It stinks because you have Christian Bale going on record saying that there's much more of his role on the cutting room floor, and you're like, this movie was only an hour and 59 minutes. There was still a good 30 minutes of like maybe 15 minutes of usable time that the average viewer is willing to sit into a theater for 2 hours 15 minutes, 2 hours 30 minutes to watch a movie. And you have your star, your main guy that everyone knows saying, "Oh, I love some of the stuff that we cut out." I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, and it gets complicated because Gore's primary purpose is to kill these gods. Well, then it turns into, well, I can't technically, theoretically kill Thor and the Asgardians because I need Stormbreaker to make a wish to eternity. Like what happened to just killing gods? Like what are we doing? Like it became overly complicated.
I guess they read the arc in the comics and saw the god bomb that Gore makes and thought to themselves, let's turn that into something else, because a god bomb is kind of a ridiculous concept to see on live action, and you just replace a god bomb that can kill every god at once into a I know a post space and time being almost,
Yeah.
and have him
Which is
grant you
fine.
a wish, but like maybe make that like, I don't know. It just, I feel like that man,
Wh-
like the gore seems to get so much joy out of killing gods. I need to see a change in like his psyche to make him be like, there's a better way. Because it seems like he just wants to kill gods for
Right.
fun and he gets enjoyment out of this. And the Necro Sword is the Necro Sword is his, like, is making him do this almost. And the Necro Sword probably wouldn't like want that to happen, because then the Necro Sword would have no purpose. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and some of that stuff and what ends up happening with this character at the end is a larger problem for me. Of we're trying to make our villains not super evil. Oh, it's the
Yeah.
Necro Sword. Or, oh, he had his change of heart at the end and his wish. What happened to villains just being evil? But
Mhm.
that's a whole other
It's
thing.
it's the
The
local
whole the
problem.
whole make the wish. It is, well, the whole wish to eternity. I'm totally fine with that. If we're also not trying to do the whole introduce Jane as the mighty Thor and then do the death of the mighty Thor at the same time, because this
Mhm.
film tries to do two stories in one, which again is also fine if the film, like you mentioned, wasn't just under 2 hours or right at 2 hours, which is a perfectly reasonable time. Like 2 hours is fine. I don't care if the movie's 2 hours. Just it's just doing too much,
Mhm.
and it's wildly inconsistent, as you both of you have mentioned, when Acts 1 and 2 are completely different than Act 3. Like this film to me, because it's like you mentioned, Zach, that like Thor Ragnarok is a top 5, 4, 3 Marvel movie for me. Like this film is to like phase 4, like it's like, remember Iron Man 2 and how disappointing Iron Man 2 is. We love Iron Man 1, and then they made Iron Man 2 and it's like they took the wrong lessons from Iron Man 2 and they turned the
Mhm.
things that they thought we really liked up to 11. I think that's what we did with this movie. We took the things
Yeah.
we loved about Ragnarok and we made it way over the top. It's way too silly. Way too silly. And like Chris Hemsworth is in on the joke, which like it's too much. Like in Ragnarok, like this character, like all these things are happening to him, and he's not in the joke, and now he is, and he's
Yeah.
way over the top too. And why are the Guardians of the Galaxy in this film? They serve no purpose. Why is
I
Valkyrie
guess,
in this film? She served no purpose. What is Korg doing in this film? He served no purpose. What are we
yeah.
doing?
I don't know. I thought that, yeah, the whole Jane, I don't know, it's you can have Jane, yes. Sure. But because of her inclusion and her exclusion from the previous Thor and the 2 Avengers movies, they had so much work that they had to, like, so much screen time they had to dedicate to establishing what went wrong in their relationship,
Right.
that should have been done in those other movies, which I'm not gonna say it's
Yeah.
Natalie Portman's fault, but I mean, she
Right.
didn't wanna come back, so that's why
Yeah.
Marvel needs to start recasting actors. Iron Man and Captain America should not be in the MCU just because they have 2 actors. That's a whole 'nother soapbox I can stand on for an hour.
Yeah.
But since, I don't know, it just everything happened so quick with Thor, and I don't know, it's almost hard to accept that Jane's back because it's been so long since we've seen her,
Right.
and they seem to go back to where they were in the second movie,
Yeah.
just like that.
Yeah. It's a weird balancing act because it's like these stories that this movie's adapting, the God Butcher and the Death of the Mighty Thor, are two very serious stories, and this movie is not as serious.
Mhm.
Like Taika Waititi is not serious. Like it's not until we get to Act 3 that all of a sudden this has to get serious. Like when you deal with cancer that's a very serious subject. Like I just don't understand why this had to be as completely over the top as it was.
Yeah, that's
I
what
would say
I like
though,
what you said. He took the wrong lessons from Ragnarok.
yeah, you both are wrong though about the goats. See, I thought the movie was not funny. I thought the goats were funny every time, every time. That's my truth. I'm gonna speak
Okay.
my truth.
At
You guys are wrong about the goats.
So we go into our theater. Chase, I, Abigail, and Emma. And I shit you not. We're in basically the middle of the theater. A person in the very back row laughed like like loud laughs at, I shit you not, every single joke that this movie presents. They laughed for a good 5 to 10 seconds after each one. It got to the point where Abigail was grabbing my hand and squeezing it because she was so mad. And the jokes wouldn't even be funny. Like it'd be like the Stormbreaker turning and looking at Thor, or it's just some of the goofiest jokes. All right,
No.
last thing
It's over the top and an over the top movie.
Yes, maybe it added to the ambiance of the film. But the last thing I wanted to talk about for this movie was what are your, I know this has been circulating on Twitter and stuff, the Infinity Stones themed ice cream shop in New Asgard. What are your opinions on that in it existing in this universe? Because it'd be kind of funny to have that in the real world. But in this
It
existing...
would. It really would be funny, but this can we not pretend
hold on. That's like you have like 9/11 themed French fries. What? I don't.
I was just about to say, but Chase, this is like 10,000 times worse than 9/11.
Exactly.
Yes. So it just doesn't, like, I understand that they're trying to make the point of like New Asgard had to become this tourist trap basically to be able to finance themselves, and no one's really happy about it.
Yeah, but like
it's like that's just, you'd have to think that someone would be like, hey, this is kind of insensitive to the people that we lost, and Thor would probably be like, this is pretty insensitive to the people that, like, my friends that died fighting this.
Myrtle Beach, South Carolina is a tourist trap. There's not a Holocaust falafel shop. Like, you don't
There's
need
no Hurricane Katrina.
Exactly. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah,
Orleans.
there's no Katrina Bar and Grill in New Orleans. There's no, there's 1,000 things you can compare it to.
Yeah. It's like an absurdist joke that when you first see it, you're like, oh, that's so funny. And then you think about it and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that one.
I don't know.
Yeah, strange.
All right. I think we've said all we can say about that movie. I mean, the fight on that little planet was pretty funny. I mean, not funny, pretty cool.
I
Like,
thought it was
the color.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Also, I wasn't a big fan of that joke they made with the planet and the shit hits the little moon.
Oh yeah.
Because then once they get on the planet, the whole once they get on the surface, the whole like ratio is off.
I think Rick and Morty and Futurama both have already done that joke, so like,
yeah, it's nothing new. Like, but then once they get on the world, it's like they should literally each one of them be sitting on a corner of that world.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe the planet just got bigger once they stepped on it. I don't know. But moving on, I guess I'm the only one that's seen Minions.
Should I don
Whoa, ratings.
Oh, ratings.
Because as much as the only reason I say ratings, as much as I just completely didn't give any positive opinion from my side, like, I actually enjoyed it. Like, everything I just mentioned were the things I didn't like about it. Like, I think for me, it's still like an 8.4.
Damn, I gave it a 7 flat.
I got a 7.9 here.
I did like the post-credit scene.
I was about to say, possibly the best post-credit scenes we've got in a long time. Yeah, that was awesome.
Two serious post-credit scenes. We haven't had that in a long time.
I know. Thoughts on Russell Crowe and his accent?
I
Well,
liked it.
I heard he came out and said that he recorded both. He recorded like in his normal English accent and then the Greek accent, and then they picked the Greek accent.
And we decided to go with that. That's what you're saying? That's what
Yeah.
you're telling me?
I don't know. It was fine.
Okay.
I liked it. I think it kind of, I don't know. It goes with his portrayal of Zeus.
Yeah, I was
in
gonna say
this.
it plays into his whole
Yeah,
like.
exactly. His lackadaisical.
I guess that's how Greeks talk.
But it's almost like he's so far. Like I don't know. I picked it up as like this character of Zeus is so far beyond like Greek culture. He's almost losing his accent because he's up in this tower. Just
Okay,
as
I like that. I like that.
orgies in the yearly orgy. I like to think he spends
I
his
like that.
entire year planning next year's orgy.
Fellas, where was our good Lord and Savior Jesus Christ up in there?
Next
Mm.
question. Oh, did you see
I'm
that
sorry.
originally?
Oh, I do have. I'm sorry.
Go for it.
Go.
Me?
Go.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
just
go
gonna say. Well, yeah. Go.
Apparently, Russell Crowe was originally going to be playing Satan,
Oh,
and then they switched it
Mephisto?
out. No, Satan, not Mephisto, like the Christian Satan.
Oh boy.
Oh, I just
Interesting.
that just makes me think of the scene where Thor's like, I modeled my whole thing around this guy is in a different light.
I do apologize. I have one more thought. Why someone should have died? I don't know if it was Sif, Valkyrie,
Yeah,
Korg for real instead of just his head. Somebody should have died.
give
What are we
me some
doing?
stakes. Make gore scary. Like you have to be more than just like a physical appearance. Could you imagine if Michael Myers just walked around and stabbed one of the kids once, didn't kill them, cut another kid's arm off, didn't kill them, and at the very end becomes
Right.
good?
Like
That's not how you write a
it's
villain that you
it's
want to
so
be
bad.
scary.
Right. Like you have to have you're right, you have to have a stake. You have to kill like I disagree. I don't remember who said at the beginning when we were talking about Top Gun. I actually thought it was ingenious not to kill anybody because I think most people were like waiting for a death in Top Gun and they didn't
Mhm.
get it and I was like, "Oh, they did that. They were confident enough not to do that." Whereas in this film, you need to kill
You have, yeah. It's almost
somebody
like
of
a necessity.
importance.
I guess they
Yes.
killed
So,
Jane.
anyway, moving along.
Jane's actions
Okay.
killed Jane.
Doesn't count.
All right, let's go to the
All
best
right.
movie of the year.
Minions.
That's right.
No, none of y'all have seen it.
Nope.
All right, I'll
No,
keep
sir.
it brief. I just bought the Regal Movie Pass because I have moved into a neighborhood with a Regal Cinema right across the street, basically, it's a mile away. So I've decided to go see every single movie that comes to theaters because I have to make that $25 a month worth it. So I went and saw
As you
Minions,
should.
and let me tell you about this movie. It was the worst movie that I have seen in theaters in a very, 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 very long time.
What was so bad about it?
No.
And
no.
I hate the fact that this is like the pinnacle of children's animation, and kids are going to go to this movie and eat it up.
Did you?
This
I
movie,
mean, surely you knew what you were getting into, though.
I did, yes, but this movie is only about if you trimmed the fat. Let's say you buy a steak. You're so excited. You get it. Let's say you get it ordered. You've never seen the steak, and you open it, and you look down at it, and it's 90% fat. Once you trim away the fat, you got a steak about that big. The A plot in this film could have probably been told in 40 minutes, and this movie's an hour and 27 minutes. There are at least 3 different montages that have nothing to do with the main plot, and that There's one of the minions on a road trip with this random character that has this medallion they need, of like going through the desert, going through Vegas, going through California. There's another montage where the minions learn karate, and then the minions don't really even use the karate they've learned.
Dude, this sounds awesome. You make me want to watch this.
Yeah, this sounds good to me. I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard Red Flag yet.
Like,
where's the bat?
Shut your mouth. And it's just like the minions themselves. I don't have a problem with them. I don't know. It was just, I hope Steve Carell's getting his money.
So was he in it actually a lot, or was it
Gru
like 95% minions?
No, Gru's in it a lot. And that's, I don't know, that's the good
disappointing.
point. Steve Carell is pretty funny as Gru. The funniest part of the movie was when Gru wakes up and starts singing Bad Moon Rising, but starts singing Bad Gru Rising. It was just, and the illumination style of of animation is so bland and boring. And every character looks identical to the other one. I'm not talking about the minions. Of course, the minions look alike. But every human character.
Whoa. You want to walk that back, buddy?
What do you mean?
You think all minions look alike?
Oh, every minion is individualized and perfect the way they are.
What I thought you said.
But every human, the first Despicable Me, the Horton Hears a Who, the Lorax, every single Illumination film, you could take one character from any of those movies and put them in the leading role, and you probably wouldn't get a difference. No one would even realize that that's a different character. You take the Lorax and shave all the hair off, that could be a minion. It's just uninspired, just corporate blahness. That's all I have to say about Minions. I gave it a 4.6.
Not as bad as I was expecting.
And there was post-credit scenes, and I could not physically will myself to stay in any longer, so I left. I saw the first one. I saw the first one after the stylized credits, and then I got up and left.
Was there more?
There was a full post-credit scene at the end of the credits.
Ugh.
And I said,
was your theater crowded?
Can't do it. I was the only person in there. I went.
No way! You had the whole movie theater to yourself.
Whole theater to myself, baby. Sat in the back row.
Did you come in a three-piece suit?
Kicked my feet up, and just had a ball.
Yeah. Did you go in the suit?
Yeah. I sat like this the whole time. I'm making money moves. All right. So who saw the black phone?
Nicholas.
That would be me.
All right, quickly do the black phone because we're running at an hour and 35 minutes, and I still have one movie left to talk about.
We are at an hour and 28.
Okay.
Oh, perfect. We got at least another hour and 30 in us.
Crazy.
Black phone. Best summer movie I've seen. It is not only the best summer movie I've seen, it is now my favorite supernatural horror movie I have ever seen. Yeah.
Damn,
Get Out.
I heard people say that. You like that movie more than Get Out?
Yeah, I sure did.
What's it about?
Yes. Scott Derrickson's Black Phone. So, I'll give you a brief synopsis. So, there is a child abductor named the Grabber, who's played by Ethan Hawke, and he ends up he's kidnapped a couple children up to this point, where he finally kidnaps our main character. The child's name is Finney. That is Finney, who's played by, I have it right here, Mason Thames. I may be pronouncing that wrong. He kidnaps this 13-year-old, and the whole plot just revolves around him trying to get out. And he has a sister that gets involved in the plot as well. Her name is Gwen, portrayed by Madeline McGraw. It was so good. Like, guys, you have to see it. You need to see it. If you're not going to see the theater, when it comes out on streaming, whatever, you need to watch it at night. in a dark room, no lights, maybe light a candle, pop some popcorn. It is like the thing is what I appreciate about this film. Like I hate horror movies. Like I thought this was gonna be like one of those like the jump scares. This was closer to the Get Out sort of Shining vibe, where just it makes you uncomfortable. Which is the horror movie type of movie I like. It's based off Joe Hill's a short story that was done in the early 2000s. And I can't like without giving any of the plot details away. I think all I can say is that it's the right length. The pacing is phenomenal. The screenplay, like the dialogue, the kids dialogue, like they sound like kids. Like every situation is authentic. This Mason Thames, the 13-year-old who's abducted, has to carry the film. Got to be the best 15-year-old actor I've ever seen. Dude, carry. He is so good, and Ethan Hawke he's creepy. I won't say any more. It's really good. I really enjoyed it.
You know what? I'm sold. I heard that it was kind of boring.
No. That's a lie. 9.1 final rating.
Wow. You heard it here first, everyone.
Yep. You heard it here first.
All right, so we're wrapping up. The most recent movie I saw came out last week, Where the Crawdads Sing, based on the novel of the same name. Have y'all heard of the movie?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
I have.
Follows a girl that was left in her home in like a marsh in North Carolina on the coast at like 6 and is raised by herself in the marsh, and then her love story with like 2 men, and then one of the guys ends up dead and she gets arrested for it. My biggest gripe with the movie is that it never finds like a real voice, because it fails to commentate on any meaningful issue that it like presents. So like the film presents like race like struggles in the 60s, but and glosses over it, moves on to class struggles, glosses over it. And then there's physical and sexual abuse that it glosses over and just focuses back on this love story. And I'm like, it's just so strange. It tries to be deep and comment on all of it, but it doesn't say anything meaningful. So and the film was set in the 60s, and it fails to invoke any sense of like retroism. Like I know half the movie's set in the marsh, but it feels like the movie was made a couple weeks ago. Like people went out in 2022 and started filming and made a movie set in 2022. But
Interesting.
If you read the book, you might like it. Abigail read the book and she liked it. I mean, it was an interesting, like, sort of like a, not really a whodunit, but sort of a whodunit. I won't spoil the ending. It's a decent movie to watch with a significant other, I'd say, because it will probably check off the romance boxes that couples like to watch together. But other than
Chase.
that, I think we're done here. We knocked them all out. I gave that one a 6.1 as well. Let's see.
Okay.
Yeah, 6.1.
You know,
yeah.
So all said and done, a lot of these movies are kind of above mid,
but
above average. Not a whole lot of high scores.
Our next film should be Nope, that we got coming out.
I will say that.
I will say
this Friday. I've heard nothing but good things from Nope.
Yeah, I've started to hear positive reviews, so that's good. Because you and me did not, Zach, did not enjoy Us very much.
We did not enjoy Us. Ugh. Us was not a fan of Us. All right, I guess that's it for us at the Close Screening Podcast.
You know what we forgot to do?
What?
Forgot to do the beginning. What did we watch? Any recommendations? Forgot to do all our little personal jibber jabber.
All right. Well,
I
since
like
we've
that.
last recorded, I've seen quite a few films.
I haven't seen anything
You know, I'll
besides what we
just
talked about, pretty much. Like,
the
I guess
last
recent
movie
films.
Same.
that I've seen that was worth talking about. Did we ever talk about Everything Everywhere All at Once?
No, but I've heard nothing but good things.
I'll just leave
10
it
out of
at
10.
I give it an 8.6, my third highest film of the year. And then I watched Come and See. It's a 1985 Soviet Union film about the Nazi advancement into Belorussia, modern day Belarus. And I'll keep it I'll try to cut out the theatrics, but it made me reevaluate what a film is, what a film could be, and what a film should be.
Wow.
At the ending of that film, I watched it on the couch right over there. I sat and stared at the black screen for about 15 minutes. Just thinking. If you have a valid student ID or a library card, you can sign up for the streaming service Canopy and watch many classic films for free, including Come and See. I don't want to say too much about it, but I was stunned. I'd heard nothing but good things about it. Flabbergasted. Blown away.
Well, that's
Hurt
one I'll just have to check
emotionally.
out then.
I had a deep emotional pain at the end of the film.
I don't know if
That's all I'll say about it.
I don't know if I really want to alter my worldview.
It is a very, very heavy film. Don't go into it if you're at all sad. If you're sad, wait until or maybe if you're sad and you want to just get even more sad, watch it. But if you're really happy and don't want your mood dampered, don't watch it. You have to be in a very certain mindset.
We'll watch it. Well, aren't we all sad anyway? So,
The dread of existence.
All
right. That's hard to top. The only thing I've been watching besides these movies is complete 180 from that. It was just Miss Marvel, which has been the most charming and fun thing I've seen in a long time. That's my second favorite Marvel TV project behind WandaVision, so I recommend that.
Still can't get past episode 4. I've tried, Nicholas. I just can't do it. There's something about it that I just can't do.
I love it. I eat it up.
Let's see. Emma and I watched all of Stranger Things season 4. Just wonderful television. I mean, I think that's really.
I've heard nothing but good things.
I really think it's the only redeeming quality Netflix has at this point. What else? I watched the other night. Emma and I watched the first half of Avatar. I wanna, if I may, for just a moment, go on a bit of a tangent. Last episode we talked about
2009's Avatar.
I thought we got over our James Cameron Avatar phobia.
I can watch it with my dad now. I'll say that. Disney Plus has done a little bit of chopping, a little bit of editing. Emma and I, we forgot that it was a 2.5 hour movie, and we start watching it at like 9 o'clock. And Emma, if you don't know, goes to bed most nights at about 9-10 o'clock. She gets up super early, so we start watching about 9 o'clock. By about 10:30, we're ready to go to bed, and right as we're getting ready to turn it off, Jake Sully finishes his man ceremony. He's now a full part of the tribe. He gets to choose his woman, and him and Neytiri go off into the little glowy forest to do the deed, do the nasty, to consummate his manliness. You see them kiss. He says, "We are mated for life, Jake Sully." It cuts to black, and that's it. They don't connect hair. There's no bumping and grinding. It is a kiss, and it's done. And I'm mad about it. I'm mad about it. I wanted to relive my trauma. I wanted to go back to it and be like, was this as awkward as I remembered? And I don't even get to relive it. I'll never know. But at least I can watch it with my dad now, and there won't be any. So Avatar's kiss kind of weird, huh? You know, there won't be any awkwardness now. So I guess thanks, Disney.
I wonder if there's two different versions, because I know Disney was testing out like different versions of censored content for different age groups.
All right. I have to say, for sure, part of me, when I was asked to come back for this episode, part of me had to come back because I was, in many ways, outraged by what I heard in the last episode. And this is simultaneously my plug for those viewers who might just be back for me. You never know. That's definitely not true. But if you haven't listened to the previous, or the 4 episodes you guys have made since the long hiatus, without trying to turn this into another 20-minute conversation, there was, first of all, can I just say, I'm bringing the microphone back up to my mouth. A couple of things. Steven Spielberg absolutely won every decade. The 70s, the 80s, the 90s,
I don't know
the
about
early
that,
2000s.
Nicholas.
But let me say this. The most egregious thing that you just all glossed over when we got to the 2010s, oh, I don't know. I think this one should be a tie. James Cameron didn't put out any films, but man, Steven Spielberg, he put out some really bad films. Did you actually watch Lincoln? Did any of you actually watch Lincoln?
I have not seen
because Lincoln.
No.
Okay. Your job tomorrow, this week, is to watch Lincoln, because that is one of the best films I have ever seen. Ever. He wins that decade just because of Lincoln alone.
Do you remember who we gave that decade to?
You didn't even give it to anybody. You said it's basically a tie.
We said no contest.
Which is some BS. You said BS. You said, well, we'd rather give it a tie because even though Cameron didn't put out anything, because Spielberg put out horrible films, he shouldn't get anything. That's nonsense.
No. We had to give them a no contest. No, because we set a precedent at the beginning.
We did. I was thinking the same thing.
James Cameron didn't put out any films in the 70s.
Yeah, we didn't give Spielberg the 70s either.
We didn't give Spielberg the 70s.
All right, that's a good point.
You can only judge them on the decades they were both working.
Also, okay, but let's be honest. Cameron was working. He was just working real slow.
Well, yeah, that's like, you can't judge a man. We can judge him on, what, December 17th? Is that when it comes out?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
We'll judge him like that. We'll all reconvene.
We'll watch West Side Story and Avatar 2.
You just have to judge that for the 2020s.
I know. Spielberg's got some stuff coming out there.
I don't know. My only other gripe was that
film.
Oof. No, thank you. My only other gripe was that E.T. was just glossed over so quickly.
I haven't seen
when you talked about E.T.
in such a long time.
I haven't either. It's been years. It's been over a decade.
And did it come out? Did it come out in the 70s?
80s.
Because it came out in the 80s. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I think it was 83.
82.
But James Cameron and Steven Spielberg are a lot closer than I once presumed.
Also, let's not. You can give Cameron T2 in the 90s, but let's not try to give Cameron the 90s because we're also going to include Titanic. Yes, Titanic did a lot, but what are we doing? You guys are overthinking it.
No,
you're overthinking it.
All right. I'm cutting this shit off. We were gonna go way too long. Nicholas, you've made your point.
You have to take the context of society as well as the film itself. Say what you will about
all that.
Say what you will about James Cameron. James Cameron, when he puts out a film, it's a phenomena. There's a reason why he has 2 separate films that were the highest grossing film of all time. And I was a hater for a long time.
For my money, like, Spielberg wins the 90s just because of Jurassic Park. You're not going to tell me Jurassic Park and what it spawned. I mean, we spent 15 minutes of this whole podcast talking about the 6th movie in that franchise.
Okay,
You're not
we
going to
got
tell me
Terminator
Jurassic
1,
Park wasn't a...
Terminator 2, Terminator 3, Terminator Salvation, Terminator Genesis, and then Terminator Dark Fate. There's
Yeah,
6
but
Terminator movies too, all
but you
spawned from
you know
James Cameron.
yeah, but you know what, Zach? Nobody cares about Terminators. You know how bad Jurassic World Dominion is? It's about to make $1 billion. It's $900 million. You know how many people have to go out for a movie to make $900 million?
Because that's like saying Deadpool. No one cares about Deadpool. It didn't make as much money as Endgame. You're not taking your 6-year-old kid to go watch Terminator 2 or Terminator Dark Fate. Taking them to go watch a movie about dinosaurs.
Like, you guys ended up making the right decision by saying Spielberg won, but you guys made it sound so much closer than what it was. Yes. It was a landslide, by the way.
We are arguing semantics. We're arguing semantics.
I just had to bring it up. And here's actually my last gripe. I'm still waiting on my Scott Pilgrim podcast. I was promised weekly or bi-weekly podcast. Let me just say this, boys. When I was on, these things were coming out regularly. What are we doing?
All right.
Folks,
Chase, let's give episode 1 of season 3. Okay, season 2 was a bust. Season 2 got canceled.
That's fine. We had a gas leak here. Look, do we want to address the outstanding hiatuses that we went on while it was just me and you, Zach? Do we want to address these things?
We've been busy boys.
Look at my hair. Look at how long it's gotten. I have a ponytail.
You're hard at work, and I'm in grad school.
I haven't had time to get a haircut.
I'll just say that's a lot of excuses. Before I left, and I'd re-listened to it to be sure. At the end of that episode, I said, audience members, there's going to be a break. Who knows? There could be a new host, new guest. I let the audiences know. Here I am, expecting consistent content. No rhyme or reason why it's not showing up. I'm not doing this to absolutely just blast you guys, but I'm just for my audience members out there. I'm looking out for you.
Zach,
call to action.
Zach, are we making a promise here? Are we making a promise?
We're making a promise. We'll start with bi-weekly.
I like that. Thank God. That gives me time
to... At this rate, you should just go monthly.
New podcast daily.
All right. We're recording the 19th of July.
This will come out on Monday.
Have it out by the 25th. We will have another one out by August 8th. Guaranteed.
And Nicholas, you can still join us until you're back at school.
Up to snuff, yeah. Although I think,
I like this. This is fun having three voices.
I think it definitely adds
this was fun.
a much more unique dynamic than man to man. Yeah, there's
man. In all seriousness, oh gosh, that's the wine talking now. In all seriousness, thanks for having me on. It was fun to talk shop. It's good to be back.
You're welcome back at any time.
All right, I guess we should probably wrap it up. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Close Screening. What's our TikTok account?
Oh God, I'm scrambling. I think it's the
Close Screening. Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. You're probably you're listening to it. Go ahead and hit that follow button at The Close Screening, and hit up on YouTube if you prefer to watch a video.
If you want to see how long my hair is gotten.
Yeah, watch us. Look at how long Chase's hair is. Watch as I start slurring my words because you see me constantly sipping on my wine. It's a fun time.
All right, and that'll do it for us here at The Close Screening.
Bye.